This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast, where each and every week we do a deep dive into the good, the bad, and the awesome of wrestling video games. My name is George Feis.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash, and today we have a special little hangout with Johnny and George, a little Q&A where we discuss our favorite games, our worst favorite games, what we are playing now, and a whole lot more.
And please subscribe and rate this podcast on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star review as well. That'd be great. And you can follow along on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. And don't forget, you can get early and ad-free episodes of this podcast, access to show notes, our Discord, your opportunity to submit a softlock question, all for just $5 over at patreon.com/GameMarksPod. Johnny Clash, my good friend.
What's up? Little spur of the moment episode change, card subject to change, but the show must go on.
Yeah.
We said that last week. There might be a slight chance Bronson from the Iron Savages couldn't be with us this week. And of course, when you're he's off ass eating somewhere else, I guess. And when you're an Iron Savage, you can't be in two places at once. So
Yeah,
we'll make it up.
When you're a wrestler and you travel, you get called, like you said, things come up. So
Yeah,
he'll be back soon.
He's a big star now. Okay, he's not the guy we had on Here Comes the Pain anymore.
Oh, does he also suffer from book too good-itis now?
Yeah, he does. He does
yeah.
actually. But it's fun keeping up with him, keeping up with his success. It's been pretty great. Been pretty great following him his whole career, and hopefully we will get him on here sooner rather than later again. But let's talk about last week. Superstars on the arcade cabinet. I think
no notes, man.
No notes, but I think that was one that stuck with me the entire week, where I'm just thinking about it the whole time. Like, that was a really good game, and I didn't expect it to be, but I like.
Very rarely do you shoot me a message that is, what is this and when can we play it? And that's exactly what happened with the Fortnite heist. You were just like, hey, what is this? Tell me what this is and when are we going to play it? So I was trying to figure out if there was a way that we could do like a commentary playthrough watch along of that tonight. But I was just like, I don't think that makes for good audio content if we're just like, okay, we're going to drop here.
Oh, yeah, no.
And then I got a guy on me.
Superstars the arcade.
No. I
Focus, George.
Okay. There's we're circling back. Here we go. We went off the rails. We're going back. So
I don't know how.
Listen, I could fix this. So in my head, I think about games that you message me about. Usually I'm the guy that plays that behind Dylan. Damn. I guess he's rubbing off on me in the worst ways. But no, so very rarely do you message me off podcast about games relative to the podcast that isn't like, hey, when can we play this? When can we do this? I can think of two. When Fight Forever first came out, and then the follow-up when Stadium Stampede, and then this. Talking about Superstars.
Oh, yeah. And I kind of want to go back and play more. Good thing we could just have that at our fingertips. It would be, we say it a lot. It would be so cool. But we know it's probably never going to happen for Arcade 1-Up to do like a WrestleFest or this or something.
And I wonder why.
We can't rely on the iArcade.
Well, so this is the thing. I don't know why we couldn't get, like, I understand because I'm also in the same boat as you, where it's just like, oh, hey, I would love to have this. Yeah, it's all the likeness and the licenses. But then who do you go through? Is this like you have to individually license each person? Are some of these people covered under Legends deals? Is that a part of like a Legends deal?
We should ask Mike Herman.
It's a good question.
We should.
And then we could be like, hey, when's the other update for Retrofest coming?
Tough subject, I guess, right there, huh?
Yeah.
Hopefully soon. But Hey, so we actually finally got to hang out a little bit the other day.
We did.
I could finally reveal the shirt you've been talking about for months. Which is the man they call Daddy Clash holding a bottle a la the acclaimed daddy ass shirt.
Tried to get your wristbands in there as well. Your tape from
You got a matching one for my daughter that says "Feed me, Daddy Clash." I can't wait to wear them and then have to explain to people who aren't in the loop about what it means. And
well, the feed me kind of makes sense, and then you just go, "Oh, it's very easy." You just go, "Oh, I'm a wrestler. Johnny Clash was my name." And that's it.
You think it's easy. You think,
well,
oh yeah, what weight class were you? Oh, like the Hulk Hogan stuff. Oh, yeah, cool. So you know,
body slammed Andre the Giant. Yep, that whole thing.
Cool, you're a wrestler, so you know, like my cousin's cousin who does like MMA, right? That's usually how it goes.
Can we all, John? I got an idea for a great episode. Let's do the next Q&A that we do. Let's field like top wrestler, like indie wrestler questions, and we'll ask you them. Like the most common indie questions.
What made you get into wrestling? How'd you get into that?
It's like, oh, you're a wrestler? Name every wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, I remember when Ed McMahon used to own the company.
Ed McMahon.
That's my favorite one.
Hey, now.
Anyway, what do you say we dive into some just Johnny and George, some shooting the shit, some Q&A, and let's have a little deep dive of ourselves.
I don't like it when it's phrased that way, but sure. It's a Q&A episode, guys. All right, so
stop deep diving yourself in.
It's not that kind of Patreon, John.
Anyway, what are you playing? Let's start off with some questions about like what we're doing. Like, you playing anything else? I know we talked about Fortnite only a week ago.
Yeah,
you went back. Blah blah blah.
Fortnite. I've been really getting back into Rocket League. I've been getting back into Counter-Strike in preparation for Counter-Strike 2. Unfortunately, I don't play enough to be ranked currently, which means I don't currently have access to the beta or the early access version of Counter-Strike 2, which all of my friends are currently playing. They said it's actually a lot of fun, so it makes me kind of excited about that. Yeah, PoE, Rocket League, Fortnite.
New season of Marvel Snap came out today. Finally got that low-key card.
All right, I might have to dive back into that too. The PC version, man.
Ooh, it's beautiful.
That's pretty.
We didn't really talk about that. I finally got Galactus, the card that's been eluding me. Finally did it.
Champion day over at the Caruso house. Johnny Clash flipping tables. Hey, on the other podcast, that's the only name you go by.
All right. Games coming up. UFC is getting a trailer. What's today? The 5th. On the 7th, I believe, the full trailer's coming out. They put out kind of a reaction video with like Michael Chandler, Daniel Cormier reacting to the trailer. It was obviously very scripted, but it still got me excited because that's a game I've played a lot, UFC 4, and I'm ready for the update. They kind of do the model we always talk about where a game comes out every few years and they just keep updating it, and I love that.
Now, what are your thoughts on the covers?
So Israel Adesanya on the deluxe edition. It's a pretty cool cover. He's all sweaty looking, beastly. The other cover, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is cool. It's Alexander Volkanovski and Valentina Shevchenko. And sure, she's lost a few, but she's still one of the greatest women's fighters of all time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I like it. And then I send it to my friend. He goes, why does she look like that? And I was like, what do you mean? He says she looked like Alex Grasso mixed with Valentina. And then once he said that, I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, it kind of does. And people were also upset with the way Volkanovski looked. I thought he looked fine. I don't know.
I feel like... All right, I'm
interesting choice putting game renders on the cover. I'll say that.
That's what I was just gonna say but I wanted to look and see what 4 was.
4 was just Israel Adesanya and Masvidal, right?
Yeah, but
when EA went through their street clothes phase with Trevor Zegras and all that.
It's not game renders; it's an actual photo shoot. So I am confused.
Yeah,
as to why suddenly
so weird.
I'm very confused as to why suddenly, because then 3 is Connor, is McGregor and Rousey.
Yeah.
So why
That was a
this?
cool cover.
It was an awesome cover. Why the sudden jump now to game renders? I am very, very
Yeah, I
confused
wonder
by this decision.
What is
Or
the
maybe it
Madden
won't
cover
stick.
this year? I
Maybe
did not buy Madden this year.
Maybe it doesn't stick.
'Cause
Maybe
I
they
know,
change it.
Kale McCarr is on. Okay, so it is. Oh, Josh Allen. That's cool. Yeah, it's just a really cool picture of Josh Allen, and I know NHL's like a really cool picture of Kale McCarr. So weird that they did this to UFC. Maybe they're gonna put the real covers out in a few days after the trailer. I don't know.
We'll have to see. But it's an interesting choice to say the least.
You downloading Starfield? Comes out tomorrow.
I
already.
I am very interested in it. I'm not going to lie.
Me too.
Very,
Once I
very
found out it was
interested.
on the Game Pass, I was like, all right, I'm in.
One day I'll get the Game Pass.
One day. We've been talking about it for 2 years.
Yeah.
GTA 6 rumors also. I feel like we're doing one of our old gaming news segments.
It's fine.
Apparently, they're going to announce it. It just said October, like 26 or something like that. This year, that
I
would
was
be
gonna say
kind of
this
insane if they
year?
just dropped the game in a month. But I would
If anyone could do it, I was to say, if anyone could do it, it's Rockstar.
they could literally put out a game tomorrow and it would sell out instantly. And
Oh,
be,
yeah.
So they could do whatever they want.
Huh.
I'm not ready for GTA 6.
Well, because you're still playing 5.
Yeah, I gotta play 5
I
more.
am ready to jump right in.
Oh, I've played so much 5 and I can't get enough of it. So
I have to. It's installed. I gotta dive back in.
I know one guy, Will, in our Discord was not too thrilled with online play, which is what I think more than half people that play the game do.
So there's multiple levels of the online play for GTA. So you could do
deep.
solely racing. You can do just the heist. There's the whole RP, which is the biggest thing on Twitch, even still, like a crazy amount of following still. It's been a while since we brought him up on the podcast because he kind of took a break from streaming. But Dom Odinson for a little bit got into the GTA RP, but he is a predominantly he's mostly a controller gamer. And when he made the jump to go to mouse to do the GTA RP, that is strictly mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
Which
Fun
means,
fact, I used to play GTA 3 on my computer because I did not have a PlayStation. So I was a mouse and keyboard guy too.
Okay, all right. So, and then maybe that's why it's coming back to you so easily now.
But there's so many levels to GTA Online. You could, like you said, the heists are fun, but I found that if you're doing them by yourself, they're not as fun. It's more fun like when you get to that final heist when you're playing with your friends because stupid shit happens and you could laugh about it. Fun. Otherwise, it's probably just frustrating if you keep losing or someone's going off the rails and jumping into the fire or whatever.
And a lot of times you're not always guaranteed to get like a full lobby of people.
You can also get like the weed farm or join a biker gang. Like a lot of people don't know you could do that. You could be a cop if you feel like it. There's just levels to it. I think there's also maybe a Breaking Bad aspect to it. Possibly. I think that was in there. I know the biker gang was very remnant of Sons of Anarchy. Like pretty much a direct ripoff. And there is some Breaking Bad within the storyline of the actual game as well.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But anyway.
You want to dive into some questions? I'm ready to go and you are.
Let's get into some questions here. We had a couple hours to poll Twitter and our Discord. So we actually got some good ones we could discuss here. Start with our guy Justin Summers here.
Oh, yeah.
This was actually a soft lock he asked last week. We didn't pick it, but I thought it was so good. I actually almost did 2 last week just so we could answer it. But here we go. This is a good opportunity. What's a licensed game that was good but doesn't get talked about that much? For me, it's The Godfather and Captain America's Super Soldier. I 100% agree with The Godfather. That was a blockbuster game I rented, and I believe I ended up just keeping and buying because I liked it so much. It's very strategy-based and kind of like you have to get this location and this location, put a guy here, put a guy here. It takes a while to figure out. It would definitely be better, I think, is like a PC game with text only. Like it's one of those, but it was so much fun. I don't know if you ever play that one.
I don't think I did. I'm trying to. That's why I'm sitting here. I'm trying to remember because I don't think. I think I
actually had really good ratings.
Watched a playthrough of it, but never played it. Or I like maybe like a buddy of mine played. I can't remember.
It was on PC, PS2, Xbox, PSP, 360, PS3, and Wii. This was a full release from EA.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I just remember you make your guy, you do what he looks like, you have to go like extort people and all that. It was a really fun game. That's something.
Hold on, I gotta
get back into.
I gotta look up which one it is, but I have
James Caan and Robert Duvall are actually in the game. And and Marlon Brando's voice.
There is a Incredible Hulk game. It's called Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. It is essentially open world, fully destructible Hulk game. It's on also GameCube, Xbox, PS2. I remember because I think around this time was when I was working in video game retail when this came out. And I remember we got like a demo at the store and it was nuts. It's one of those games where if you have the ability to go out and get this in a physical form, or if you want to just play the ROM, it is worth it. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. Cool.
I think I have to go with TMNT. It's actually not on this list I have here. Ooh. I had it for the Wii, but I think it was also across the board, but it was from Ubisoft, and it was TMNT, the movie, like the CGI TMNT movie with the initials.
There's one of the Spider-Man games too. Like one of the movie Spider-Man's games. Like Spider-Man, I want to say it's either Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3.
2 was
the game is really good.
3 got a little repetitive.
So that may be the one I'm thinking of is 2.
There's also The Last Ronin's coming out.
Oh, they're making a Ronin game. I forgot about that.
They are.
Ooh.
There's kind of like a little teaser trailer out there. I don't think. 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I forgot that I saw that. That's one of those things that I saw and then immediately just forgot that it happened because I was like, I don't want to get too excited about it.
No, it's by Nickelodeon, so I'm not going to get my hopes up on comparing it to the comic and all that because it is kind of, gory. The other thing is the images look a lot like Michael Bay TMNT. And that makes me sad. But the comic book Ronin also kind of looked like that, like it had nostrils-ish. No, it didn't. I'm seeing like 10 different things here. No, it did not.
There's
an adaptation with nostrils.
It's one of those things where you can almost say it's kind of like Spider-Man. There are so many different adaptations by so many different artists.
Yeah.
That they're
CM
like
Punk's writing it. It's weird.
It is. Ronin in the TMNT universe is one of the more popular characters because it ventures,
and it's just dark.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it ventures in such a different like story arc than what you're used to with TMNT. So a lot of people do it in a lot of different styles. But that's a good question. You were in the right for picking that, and thank you very much, Justin, for that question.
Yeah,
but. Now we're going to move on to a man that we just spoke about earlier in the episode, Will McDonough. And Will's question is, what game series do you think has the most 10 out of 10 games in your eyes? Well, it's not Call of Duty.
Mario.
I will tell you that. That's a layup.
It's got to be, right?
I would say GTA may be up there too, but no. But we're talking over the lifespan of the
2K series,
games.
someone said in the chat. Oops.
We're talking from the lifespan of the games from the first NES release to today.
It's
Super Mario.
Yeah.
Super Mario has not missed.
No, I think you obviously have the Switch. You've probably played more than me. Are there any bad Mario games?
There are ones that are different that
I didn't
may not
play
be
any N64 like story-driven games other than Mario Kart and what's it called?
like Mario Party.
Party, yes.
So there are games that are under the Mario umbrella that maybe not your typical game. So like there's Super Mario RPG, which I love. I think is great. I don't know if you'd necessarily love it because you're not a huge RPG guy, but that game is great. And it's so like, it's got such a big following that they're actually remaking it on the Switch. That's what I'm saying. Like it's got such a long tenure and such a wide catalog of games that there are more home runs than strikeouts in the sense of
I figured.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could also say like Sonic, but I know a lot of people don't like the newer games.
No,
they refuse to go back to that old school style.
There's a couple of Sonics that were very big misses, and not even necessarily from the game concept, but just games were released like before the days of patches that were just broken. Yeah. And like you couldn't. Oh, that's another good one. Soups just brought up in the chat. Legend of Zelda.
I was going to say that one, but again, I don't know enough to.
No, that's really a good. That's a good.
I'll say Gears of War if you ask me, because there's only one I didn't like.
But to your credit, you could also say Halo.
I didn't play them all, so I don't know.
But I from what my understanding is that Halo has more hits than misses, but Zelda's the same. There are a couple ones that maybe are like a little bit of a hiccup and don't deliver the same experience, but for the most part, they all hit. Metroid, again, Soup's just bringing them all here. He said Metroid, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Brothers, they usually hit them out of the park, and I agree.
Now, I want to go to the next question before we keep talking about these because it kind of ties into my answer. Justin Leeper, the man who writes everything good. That will just say that. He's Fight Forever, SmackDown vs. Raw. He asks, what universally acclaimed games have you still never played? So to go back,
Halo.
For you, Halo. I've never played the Zelda series other than the first one with the gold cartridge. I've never played a Final Fantasy ever.
Okay.
Which I'd like to. I want to finish Death Stranding one day. It's gonna
that's on there for me.
30 years down the line. I was actually thinking about it today. The Last of Us 2.
You never finished it?
I did my watch through. You know, I did the watch through.
Yeah.
You know, I said I wasn't going to finish it. I was doing the watch through. When it comes out on PC, I'm going to finish it. This PlayStation is just never going to turn on. Let's just be real.
Oh, it's not in an optimal location.
It's not. And also, I mean, when Spider-Man 2 comes for PC, I'm so jealous. It comes out in 20 days, I think, and I can't play it. Resident Evil's another one I've played a few, but not all, and I want to go back.
See, this has been great. If Bronson was on the show, he's a massive Resident Evil fan. Could have talked about Resident Evil. But yeah, I'm with you. There's a lot of the ones on there that I agree with. Final Fantasy, I've played a bunch of them. I think that I could definitely recommend some that would maybe have mechanics that would fit into what I know about your play style more. Resident Evil, again, played a couple, definitely not giving it as much time as it deserves. What else? I already mentioned Halo. Never played a Gears of War in my life.
Game Pass. Got them all. I downloaded every single one the other day just because I could.
And let me get this out of the way. This is not me not playing these games because I didn't like them or didn't think that, but I was like, I was a PlayStation kid. So a lot of the Xbox titles I never got around to playing them. And now at this point, I'm like, dude, is it worth it to go back? Or people,
once you hit like,
it's really the premise of this podcast.
Yeah. Like Xbox and PS2 era, you're getting like drawn out, like really good developed games. So I think anything from there on is very much worth going back and playing.
Yeah. It's pretty much the whole premise of this podcast is that, you know, do we look back on games and be like, wow, this is fantastic because it was actually good? Or do we think that they were great and then we go back and we play them and we're like, oh, this.
Well, during the pandemic, I went back and I played through Halo again, the first one. Start to finish.
3/4 of the way through the first one.
Oh, it is so worth it. It's a hard game. It is not easy.
I got stuck for a really long time.
Silent Cartographer. That's where everyone gets stuck.
Is it the bridge? Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Another one from Justin Leeper. This one's going to make us think a little bit.
Oof.
If you could be reincarnated in the past as any wrestler, who would it be and what would you change?
If you could be reincarnated as any wrestler.
There's actually one I was thinking about the other day because he was relevant. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat could be named the greatest wrestler of all time. But do you know why he's not? He was never a heel. He never played both sides. I would go back as Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and I would give him a heel run. Give him a nice heel run.
Ooh.
Or I would be Hulk Hogan, and I would never say anything bad in my life and not ruin TNA. Same goes for Jeff Jarrett.
Or would you do Hulk Hogan and I'm trying to think. If you do Hogan, do you turn heel sooner or later? But I genuinely think that was the perfect time to do it.
I would be Chris Jericho and I would delete Twitter. How's that?
No, this is interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm going with Ricky Steamboat.
No, that's how I'm trying to look at it. Like, what's a major character change that could have like shifted the trajectory of a wrestler's career? I think that's the best way to look at it from like what's someone who got lumped with like a bad gimmick that they could have said no to?
Kevin Thorne.
Well, you could
Mordecai.
You could say Ricky Steamboat when he was just the Dragon.
Yeah, at least he looked cool.
Oh, no denying that, but could have still been Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one. I might have to come back to that one.
Come back to it. All right. TK Wild, friend of the pod, asks, what is George's favorite taco place?
Oh, you mean the host of Wild's World?
Yeah, that used to be a thing. What's your favorite taco place, George? Let everybody know. Maybe
so there's a chain down south called Torchy's Tacos.
Torchy's Tacos.
And they are some of the best tacos I've ever had.
Wow. I'm going to go with Taco Bell. It's a small place.
Oh, yeah. So Taco Bell was my number 2.
Oh, wow.
Taco Bell's the number 2.
Tacos got like a big ass fried chicken thing.
Yeah, they got some out of the park tacos.
Fried avocado. Oh, yeah, of course. Alabama Shake, the Democrat, the Republican. Oh, boy. Okay.
I go by what's on the tacos, not necessarily by the names of them.
He also asks if I own a weed whacker, and if so, which one do I use? No, I don't. My weed whacker's name is Juan, and he comes once a week on Wednesdays. And
shout out
for reminding me, I have to send him a check. All right. Spork, who's in the chat right now. Oh, is he? No, he's not.
Nope. Soups and Will. Oh, Will, you missed your question.
He's got another
in the
one
chat. All right, he's got another one.
Spork wants to know, for the entire Game Marks podcast Discord gets dropped into a slasher flick.
So we're playing real life Among Us. All right.
Who dies first? Who survives at the end? And who is actually the killer all along? If we're going with Among Us, you're the killer all along.
No, I'm the one who gets sussed out as it. It's never me, and it never is me. And I'm always the one that ends up getting killed by you.
I always die first. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I would probably die first. You were the killer all along, and who survives at the end?
TK.
T- Philip Cardigan survives at the end because he missed the whole thing and comes in and goes, "Where'd everybody go?"
Yeah, it's Bronson, Phil, Swoggle, and Shoes are the survivors.
Or as Soup said, Germ, because he's too nice to be killed.
That's also a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good that's a good one.
And
I don't know if I necessarily agree that I'm the killer, because
here's a plug. Join our Discord, join our Patreon. It's only $5. You get the ad free. You get this because we are such a tight community. We know everybody's names. Everybody gets along. We have such a fun time every single day talking about games, arguing over games. The weird discussions from Balanced Void and everything in between.
it's a good time. It's a good time.
Great
Get in
time.
there, join the conversation. Only $5, guys.
That's right. Now,
Will's second question. What was your first virtual pet, and what was your favorite, and why is it Digimon? So if Digimon counts, or I guess like Tamagotchi count, and
yeah. Raku.
So say, does that, if Digimon counts, that means the Tamagotchi counts, and Pokemon count?
I don't. Does Pokemon count?
If Digimon counts, huh?
Pokemon's a video game. Digimon was
Digimon. It was a TV show
based on a little handheld virtual pet, which is what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Which is like a Tamagotchi, but it was a square little
Tamagotchi.
rectangle with little buttons.
They used to have those little things that lived on what's it called, little like desktop pals. You remember those?
Oh God, no, I don't want that. I had a.
Well, I'm saying that because I had one that was Star Wars. It was dope. It was awesome.
Tamagotchis were too expensive for me back in the day when I was in 5th grade when they were popular. So I had a Dinky Dino, which was the dollar store version.
I also think I had Dinky
And
Dino.
it had it on a lanyard like everyone else. And I think I spun it. Everyone had the Brian lanyard. Remember that? Like we were all lacrosse players, but nobody actually was.
Dude, 1 million. You just opened up a part of my brain that I forgot. I had the yellow one.
I don't.
Roku. No, is that what
Dinky
it is?
Dino and then
Dinky Dino. Roku? Dino-kun?
Something like that. I remember being on my cousin's lawn and spinning it on the lanyard, and it reset itself. And I was very sad. And then eventually, like 2 years later, when they weren't cool anymore, Tamagotchis were on sale for like $10 at Toys R Us. And my parents went and got me and my sister them. We were like, oh, dang. Like, these aren't cool anymore. But obviously I used it because I missed out on it my whole childhood, 2 years before that.
Chat just brought up Bonzi Buddy, which is the purple ape, the purple gorilla or ape that used to live on the people's desktop.
Oh
but
my
it was,
God.
But it was actually a virus.
Yes.
I remember that. That's not what I was talking about. I had this like back in the days of like the computer stores, you can go and buy, when you would go buy like the PC discs of games, we bought like this value pack of Star Wars things that ended up being just like click through adventures and like a full disc that was just like wallpapers. But there was one that made like R2D2 and like the Jawas live on your desktop and like move around, and they would like the Jawas would like break down your desktop wallpaper and like show you circuit boards as they took away parts of your like desktop wallpaper. Oh my God, dude. I'm looking at these pictures of the Dinky Dino.
I'm looking at Bonsai Buddy because I definitely had it.
Amazed at this.
It wasn't always a virus though. I think it was a real thing.
No, I think at one point it became so popular that they like another like group of people loaded it with a virus and that circulated for a really long time.
On Wikipedia, it says type, it says virtual assistant, adware, spyware, and malware.
Yeah.
So sure. Oh man.
Wow.
Anyway,
dude,
I had the
Tamagotchi's handheld, man. Crazy stuff. All right, moving on to Will's next question. what if you did a GMP 64-esque show with Fight Forever? Who would be your top 3 draft picks?
Well, to let everyone know who doesn't know what GMP 64 is, during the pandemic when we had a lot of free time, me and George ran a weekly episodic television show based on WWF No Mercy. We drafted rosters. We did voiceovers to it. We made our own show, and we would do monthly pay-per-views on Twitch live, and it was a lot of fun. It's all up there if you want to check it out. We had some cool storylines and all that, so let us know, George. What would you pick for your top 3 in Fight Forever?
So I am going to draft. We're going to draft Adam Cole.
Always good with the first round picks.
And now let's say you go now. We'll do back and forth.
Malenko in the first round once?
Season 1, I think I picked him as my second pick.
I would pick the man who I win. What's it called? With Stadium Stampede with Cody Rhodes.
Oh, okay.
Daddy.
I'm going to go. You know what? Keeping them together. Take MJF.
Oh, okay. I got to go with the galaxy's greatest alien, Chris Statlander.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh. I won't do it to you. I think
you don't know who I'm going to pick.
No, I'm gonna go final pick. Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega. That might have been one of mine. I would go Jeff Hardy probably.
Yeah, I would say it's either Jeff or Sting.
Yeah. I just wish Sting had his real gear, not a T-shirt, but whatever.
They based it off of his Elite GM appearance.
Yeah, maybe one day. All right. Soups wants to know any early news on Gameberry, aka Techromania, because Tekker has now won 2 years in a row.
I got 2 things.
George has 2 things. I honestly have not thought about it yet. We have to get thinking about it so we can launch it November 1st.
Yeah.
Have a little meeting about that, I guess.
So I got 2 prizes in mind because I'm a big fan of that. We do know that our good friend Spork has some things planned that said will blow.
Best Batch Promotions is back.
And he said that he would what he's got planned for this year will blow the last 2 years away. Which
I know what it is. Yes. It's pretty cool.
And then do we do the one night only GMP 64 return?
We could. I think we still owe them that from last year. A lot was going on last year, but I think we could make it cool this year. The point is just to raise money for St. Jude.
Yeah.
Every year I try to simplify it even more to make our lives a little less stressed around the holidays, which is always nice because
I got it.
Constantly posting, and it's a lot social media wise to
get to
donate.
I know what we do for the GMP 64 show. We combine it.
He's still on this.
No, because listen, it's making your life easier, and it's making the show itself more interactive. So what we do is we load up the season. We'll flip a coin, or we'll have the Patreon vote, either season 1 or season 2 roster. We load it in. It's a live pay-per-view. Donations change what we do in the match. Donate $5. One of us has to put down a controller. Donate $50. The match starts over. You know, you donate $100. One person can't use their finisher. Like we make it so that over the course of the match, the donations that benefit St. Jude's actually change the course of the match to benefit, to cause chaos and to mess with us.
We could figure that out. We
did that for the live podcast, and
I like simplifying it just so we could raise more money for St. Jude. So we'll see.
It's that's simpler than pre-recording a bunch of matches and doing commentary in my head.
Yeah, sure. But we'll have the details by November 1st, and everybody will know about it. And we'll raise even more money for St. Jude this year around the holidays. Now, speaking of the nice guy Germ, what's a famous person you'd like to meet? Swoggle messaged me the other night. Who's one wrestler you would pay to meet? I'm like, Swoggle, I've paid to meet a lot of wrestlers, but Sting is the one that's eluded me, even though I was a table next to him at WrestleMania backstage, and I still just
couldn't do it.
Speak a word to him. Yeah.
It's a famous person you'd like to meet. Dave Grohl.
Oh, imagine picking that brain.
Yeah, I'd like to meet Dave Grohl.
I would have so many like Kurt Cobain Nirvana questions that he would probably just get annoyed and walk away from me. What was he like? Oh man. Natalie Portman for
At least you're consistent.
For reasons. Ryan Reynolds for other reasons.
Ryan Reynolds.
Number 1 and number 2. I explained this to Swoggle also, like being in a locker room with quote unquote famous people, wrestling these people and having to like open up and come out of your shell and talk to them, being around like shaking Triple H's hand and not being nervous, like all that stuff. It kind of like desensitizes you to meeting famous people. Like I walked up to Casey Cizikas once on a train, which was like, "Hey, what's up? Good game tonight." And I was like, my heart wasn't pounding, nothing. Like I was just like, "Oh, look, it's an Islander. Let me say what's up."
Well, that's like we were talking about over on Going Postal. We did the last one that we talked about was when he joined DX, and he talked about how he was backstage and they were planning when Triple H was going to pedigree him, and they like staged it and they went through the whole thing, and he's just like, yeah, so like we're just like backstage rehearsing this, and then all of a sudden, and Triple H was just like, yeah, and then I'll set you up for the pedigree, and he actually like goes to set me up for it, and he just goes, oh, the whole like hooking of the arms thing is going to be different.
Did he
and
just like fold it over like a napkin with his
and he stops and he just goes, yeah. And it was just like everyone kind of stopped. And I go, and what was that like for you? And he's just like, oh, it was different. It was interesting. I'm like, dude, you did a little bit of excitement here. You got pedigreed by Triple H on television. Like, yes, I know that you're already a wrestler at this point, but like, that's still like super cool. And he's like, yeah, it was really cool. But like, at that point, you got to kind of like keep it, like you were saying, you kind of not numb to it, but you kind of got to keep your head in the moment when you're just like, all right, I can't fanboy out to this right now.
Yeah. Wrestling kind of, I don't know, desensitizes you to that, I guess. Like the other day, I was at remember I walked past Lucharitos and one of the Islanders was sitting front in the window. And I was like, oh, cool. It's Kyle Palmieri. I just walked away. Well, what are you going to do?
Then you think about like, our relationship with Matt and Brian and Swoggle. Like, I never would have thought that, after doing this podcast for a couple of years, I'd be on like a texting basis with Dylan.
Yeah.
Like the whole podcast has opened up a whole lot of doors for someone who was not in the wrestling business aside from being Mark's graphic designer friend for a number of years. So
anyway, Ryan Reynolds, what's up? Yeah, I mean,
hey, come on the podcast if you want to.
We know you're listening. That's all the questions I kind of had. Famous person. You know what would be cool? I'm a big fan of Taste Buds. If somehow that crossover ever happened, but we know that's never possible.
That would be really cool.
We'll see.
There is a question that Will just asked, and I'm going to tweak it slightly. So he said, if you opened up a wrestling themed pizza place, what would the signature pizza be? Which I think is a great question, but Powerbomb Pizza already exists and they took a lot of the good ones.
Does it?
I don't know. It was a thing. They had clever names for stuff. But what I would say, if you could open up a wrestling themed restaurant, what type of food would it be?
It would be steaks, and I would give you a jacket when you're done. That's hard. I mean,
I have an answer already.
Go ahead.
I want the GMP 64 restaurant with all of our stupid ideas.
Oh my God. For all of 3 people that are in this chat right now to come. Oh my God. Also, Stoops is saying Time Machine, prime Megan Fox. Joke's on you. She's in her prime.
You don't want TK's onion rings?
TK's onion rings. I mean,
soups of the day?
I'm thinking back to WWF New York, and they just had literally what the Hard Rock Cafe still has in its spot in New York City, like burgers and shitty chicken fingers and stuff.
No, but and their stuff wasn't necessarily like, it wasn't like themed. You weren't getting like the Big Show steak or anything like that, right?
I think some of them were named like that.
I don't remember.
Nimble little chicken fingers.
That's a good one.
I don't know. Maybe I would do like Eddie Guerrero's taco truck or something.
You got to say it right.
Eddie Guerrero. Anyway, let's tell the fine folks what we're playing next week, because we are back on a game, and we're playing an oldie here.
We are
playing an oldie. We are playing American Tag Team Wrestling for the Commodore 64, the Amiga, the ZX Spectrum, the Amstrad CPC, and the Amiga OS. This is from 92. It is an old one. And I don't know how much fun we're going to have, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to remain pleasantly optimistic.
Yeah.
These older titles tend to be very hit or miss. There's
very miss.
I will say this, looking at the screenshots of it and having no prior experience to the game, it does look like it has potential to be pretty.
Does it?
For what it's on. For the system that it's on. Controls could be abysmal, but for it being like a Commodore 64 game, it's not terrible looking.
All right, sure. We'll dive into all of that next week.
But
this is how you make make an episode happen last minute, guys. Thanks for bearing with us here.
This is what it is. You got to fill time somehow. Guys, you can fill time too by going over to youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast, where we have our weekly playthrough videos and a whole lot more. You can go to GameMarksPod.com/shop for our exclusive merchandise and our Pro Wrestling Tees store. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for our shirt designs. Maybe Clash will let me put up the band they call Daddy Clash shirt. You can throw that up there.
Do it.
Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for this show, early and ad-free access to our Discord, all of the fun things that you heard about throughout this episode. And you can even take part in episodes like this. At Game Marks Pod on all forms of social media. And please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and leave us a 5-star rating and a review on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to check out our friends over at the Going Postal podcast and Carjo Mez podcast. It's Joe Shoes podcast. And if you have a product or service that you'd like to advertise. If you have a product or service that you'd like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. That's it. That's a quick little fixer-upper episode. Johnny Clash. Daddy Clash. Do that thing.
Game over, Marks.
Still don't like calling you Daddy Clash.
I love fixer-upper.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.